In September of 2024, I was invited to the home of Avetis Krtikashyan, or as I like to call him, Avoza. I was invited by his son David, and David asked me if I would go over and help him clean out some of Avo's stuff, paint supplies, books, all sorts of things. And of course, I said yes. I wanted to go see Avo's studio and his paintings and books, paintbrushes, and it was a great honor for me to be able to go and help David. A year had already passed since the passing of Avo, and I wanted to get to know him a little bit more. My time with Avo was very short. Like I said many times before, I wish I had known him much earlier in my life. So while we were going through his work, books and art supplies and all sorts of things, I started to see a lot more of his work. And it was an amazing experience. You have to understand that prior to this, every time that I had an opportunity to talk to Avo, his first thing that he would say was, "How are you doing?" And would ask questions about you. And so he didn't really talk much about himself, which I can now say I wish he did. So while looking through his work, I started to understand the level of artist that Avo truly was. I consider him a master artist to the highest level. I started to see his figure drawings, his just loose sketches that to any artist would be considered amazing finished work. On transparent paper, on anything, whatever he could find, you could tell that he would draw on. Avo was an experimentalist. That's what I look at him. He experimented. He was just a very curious artist, even till his last days. And that's very evident when you look at his work. He experimented. And I got the sense that this wasn't an artist who wanted to be known or seen necessarily. And he's not here to argue this with me, but this is my feeling of him. He was just very curious about what paint could do, what line could do, how he could manipulate form, how he can create texture, everything that an artist is interested in. And every piece that I kept looking through, it was just amazing, beautiful. And no one other than his family and maybe some close friends ever got to see this work. So I took out my phone and I asked David for his permission if I could take pictures of these artworks and if I could share them with my students and just people. I don't believe that the work of an artist should stay hidden. And I know it's the creation of the artist, but at some point it belongs to us too. And so I took the photos and promised myself that I was going to go back and look through them and just examine them. Because that time that I had in the studio looking through his stuff just wasn't enough. And so I started to think, well, actually, I started to get really frustrated. I was kind of upset with Avo. I wish that he actually was even a little bit of a selfish man, an egomaniac, even just a little bit. Because at least he would have talked about himself. I would have gotten to know this vast work thousands of pieces of work that just existed in this garage, in this former studio. And I'm upset because I would have loved to talk with him about these things. There's so much that I could have learned, that we as artists could have learned from just looking at his work. And I would have loved if I had the opportunity to just have a couple of conversations about him. Not me, not anything else, but just him. And to pick his brain about technique and line and just the way that he thought and approached work. When you look at his work, you just know that it was effortless. It was just something that just happened for him. Um, just very much a part of his soul. Just didn't have to give it too much thought to just take that tool and make it do things. And so I took these photos, and today, in this video, I would like to share some of those pieces of artwork that I had the honor and privilege to look at, to kind of examine in that short period of time. But I just want to share it with you guys. I want you to see what I saw, and I don't want it to stay hidden and be forgotten. So please join me in looking through some of Avetis Krtikashyan's artwork. And I hope that you enjoy it as much as I do every day that I get a chance to look at it. And I want to thank David and his family for allowing me to go and just experience that particular studio and get to look through that work. So thank you, David, for that. And thank you to his family for allowing me to be part of his life, even to this day. So, folks, let's take a little journey and look through the work of Avetis Krtikashyan.